What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the After Credit Scene. We are talking forecast and predictions for episode 5 of Loki. Before we get going, guys, please like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so when we drop new content, you'll be the first one to know about it. And then share this sucker all across the multiverse. Guys, there's a whole lot of things that have been going around the internet, a lot of misinformation, I think. I'm not saying I have it 100% right, but I think I'm on a better track here than a lot of the videos and a lot of the things that I've seen. There are some things that disregard years of MCU storytelling, that disregard things that have already been planned, that are coming in the MCU in favor of clicks and random ideas to get people talking. I want you to talk and I want you to give your theories, and please give them below. But to make things up and disregard the rest of the MCU makes some people sound ridiculous, and that really rubs me the wrong way. So I want you guys to pay attention to this and stick with me all the way through the end of this. Tell me what you think in the comments, and let's start a discussion about this, because I think it's going to be a really big deal. We have been getting multiversal rules and visuals from the beginning of this show all the way back into season 1. I've been telling you this in every forecast that we've done. Pay attention to the visuals, pay attention to the multiversal rules. Some articles have come out from the showrunners, including Michael Waldron, who wrote most of this stuff, and they have said they have a specific set of rules when it comes to how they're dealing with the multiverse and how they're dealing with time travel and all those different things, including things that have already happened in Endgame and other places. Now, I don't think any of the things that have happened within the TVA break the Endgame time travel rules, because they've happened inside the TVA, and we've been told multiple times time works differently in the TVA. The clocks don't move in the TVA. People don't age in the TVA. On and on and on and on and on. This place is outside of time, and as such, things are going to happen differently there. And because of that, you can do a lot of crazy things in this area, similar to the place at the end of time where Eliath lives, that they did in season 1. Having said that, I think this post-explosion TVA is more important than the explosion itself. What happened with the explosion? Did everybody die? No, everybody didn't die. If everybody died, that means that there is no more show. Obviously. Loki's not dead. Mobius is not dead. All these guys are not dead. They are key characters in this story. Now, did they go someplace? Were they marooned someplace? Or are all these timelines affecting them now in the TVA, in this space where time stands still? Are there going to be multiple versions of them that suddenly burst through that blast door where Victor Timely was spaghettified? Again, another visual that they were feeding you from episode 1. Beware of spaghettification. This can happen. You're going to be spaghettified. Your skin's going to peel off your flesh. All of these different things. Does that mean that Victor Timely is dead, or he's spread across the multiverse? I don't know. Renslayer got pruned. Does that mean that she's dead, or that she is at the end of time, or that she's someplace else? I don't know. My guess is she is someplace else, and that this explosion is going to affect her differently and affect the multiverse differently than it's going to affect people in the TVA, because those are the rules. And those are the things that they've already given you. There was the sacred timeline. There are alternate timelines. The alternate timelines were pruned, but the opposite of that is that they weren't pruned. If there is an overload of them, there's no more red line. There's no more main timeline that all the other timelines come off of. Now it is just spaghetti. It is timelines. They are everywhere. Think of it like being on the outside of a tree and being able to jump from branch to branch to branch, even if you can see where the original branch came from. You're in a forest where you can jump from branch to branch to branch to branch to branch. They may be different trees, but they are all interconnected somehow, okay? Post-TVA is not going to be destroyed. They've already given you, the TVA needs to change. How do we do this? Well, you can't just protect one timeline. You have to protect all the timelines. What does that look like? How do they do that? I don't know. How do they fix it? How do they come to some status quo? Bring people back into the fold, or make it so that what they see outside the window where the loom exploded is stable again? I don't know. However, we've already seen that the castle of He Who Remains is able to view the multiverse in a way that it doesn't look unstable. It looks chaotic, but it doesn't look unstable, and it's not affecting the castle. There was some explosion, clearly, but the castle is still mostly intact, right down to the Kintsugi lines, where it looks like the castle was created to do that, as though you knew the timeline was going to do this. Maybe something happens with the TVA there where things are splintered, but the storyline is they have to bring that back together. I do not think the storyline is everybody is scattered to the four corners of the multiverse and Loki and Mobius have to go on a wild goose chase to get everybody, to bring the gang back together. That's a totally different story that I suppose they could mount a rescue mission for season 3 if they wanted to, or they could throw it someplace else, or they scatter some people that just happen to pop up in other movies later on. That seems like a much more plausible storyline than having to do something crazy like abandon your main storyline to go and do this wild goose chase. I think some of that may happen, but the main story there is the effects of the TVA after Sylvie did what she did. I think, given some of the things they've already showed you, that the episodes are going to kind of fold back in on themselves, this snake eating its own tail type thing, where you revisit some episodes and some things that you've seen, maybe episode 2, some other things, in a way that they're a little different. You got some of that in episode 4. You got different variants being in the same place as each other, pruning each other. All of these different things, you might get a taste of a mini multiversal war, maybe a mini-versal incursion or a little battle at the TVA. Maybe they even call it the Battle of the TVA. Not quite sure there, but I don't think that this is going to wipe out the TVA, nor do I think it's going to reset the MCU. There's a whole lot of junk out there about this is when the multiverse gets reset, and this is when we can bring in all these variants, and this is when we can revisit all this other stories. No, they're not going to do that. As much as that's a great idea, mid-show, 2 seasons in, episode 5, they're not going to use a TV show to do something that needs a broader audience for your brand to continue into the future. And they're not going to try to do this in a way simply as some kind of ploy to get viewers onto Disney Plus. If they're ever going to do this like they did with Captain America and the Winter Soldier and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., where they revealed Hydra for the first time, they're going to do it in conjunction with an episode and a movie. And it's going to be within days of each other, and it's going to be really well hyped. It's not going to be, hey, episode 5 of Loki and the Marvels movie, which don't seem to have any connection there. Sans maybe some kind of crazy cameo. That could be possible. I doubt it. You would have to ignore years of not just storytelling and years of storytelling to come, but ignore the planning that has gone into making the shows that we are currently getting and the ones that are already filming, to say that Marvel has kept such a good secret that the whole of phase 4, 5, and 6 hinges on this one episode, so that everything can reset in a way that they can then move the story forward. I don't think that's how it's going to happen. I think some things might happen here that have ramifications in the movies that you can look at and go, oh, I get that, and people can point back to it. Or you get some multiversal rules and the multiverse from another perspective that makes it make more sense. Almost as though you're saying, hey, if the movies make sense and we're going to explain the multiverse to you, but if you really want to nerd out, go and check out Loki season 1 and 2 to really understand why this happened, how it happened, and who's working behind the scenes here. I think that's a much more plausible plot point and storyline moving forward than you would have to divert from the story you've been telling right now to do that. Not just here, but the MCU as a whole. And they're not going to do that. That's not prudent storytelling, and it doesn't even make sense for this story. But a lot of people think that, but in order to think that, they have to throw out a whole lot of other things to just throw out this wild theory. I'm not there. I think episode 5, after this temporal radiation, which in one article is also the same radiation that the prune sticks are confirmed to use, after this temporal radiation hits the TVA, whether people get spread across the multiverse or whether it splinters things and there's a lot of people, something's going on, Loki's going to have to go it alone. This is my big prediction. Loki's going to have to go it alone. He's going to have to do something here, but I think it's going to bring him into connection maybe in the past or maybe in some other area of the TVA before all this happened, where he has to interact with OB. We've already seen Victor Timely's snake eating his own tail type thing, where Ravonna Renslayer with Miss Minutes delivers the TVA handbook to him, thus jump-starting his ability to be a player in this multiversal thing back in 1860 Chicago. But we haven't seen where OB got his inspiration yet and how that happened. Even though the snake's eating its tail and it's a loop and it's always happened and it was going to happen, from our vantage point, there's a start point. There's an instigation point, an entry point into this loop that, like the off-ramp, the on-ramp to it, that we haven't seen in OB's storyline yet. Was his memory wiped? Where did he come from? Is he a fail-safe in all of this? Is he somehow connected with Miss Minutes? Who knows? I think there's something there, and I think between him and Loki, these things are going to have some kind of connection that reinforces and recreates the status quo within the TVA and creates this TVA that now protects the multiverse, perhaps from incursions, perhaps from kangs, whatever it is. The TVA is now part of it. It would not surprise me if Sylvie somehow becomes some kind of leader of the TVA in that regard. But they're going to have to deal with Renslayer. Maybe that happens in episode 5 and 6. Maybe that happens in a season 3 where Renslayer and He Who Remains and Miss Minutes are now trying to make the multiversal war happen, and these guys are trying to prevent it again. Who knows? Either way, I've told you from the beginning, this will not end well. This is not meant to end well. The multiverse is coming. The multiversal war is coming. All the Kangs are coming. You're not going to restore the loom. You're not going to fix the timeline, so there is a sacred timeline. They've got to find a way to make this stable and create a new normal. That's what's going on here. And that's why I think all these other things are the reason why this stuff is going to happen. They've fed you this stuff all along. There's some rules that they've said that they're working by. If you go and watch some of these articles where people have asked the showrunners and Michael Waldron questions about this, and they have a plan here, but I think it involves creating this season where the snake eats its own tail and you kind of get this loop. Now where the on-ramp and the off-ramp is to it and how it all loops together, I think is really going to be the fun part, and it's really going to be the part where we join the roller coaster already in progress. It's going to be really, really awesome. Curious what you guys think about it. If you agree, great. If you don't agree, awesome. Share it in the comments below. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, share this video all across the multiverse, and check out some of our other videos over here. One in particular, we have a definitive explanation of the multiverse, which still holds true, and I think is going to hold true even after this episode. Tell me what you guys think, and as always, when the next one drops, we'll catch you right back here. Later.